League Season 5. This is a game in the entry division between Siren Song and heterosexual men. For those of you who love Dota as we do, and if you want to play with your friends, play in a competitive setting, and with the team together, then go on and check out amateurdota2league.com. They have tournaments every season for multiple divisions, and it's a great place to get your start. With me today, co-casting, is Wolf Dota. You can check him out on Twitter on @WolfDota, and we'll be doing this two-game series together. How's it going, Wolf?
Hey everybody, it's going pretty good. Casted some ability draft tournaments early, an ability draft tournament earlier today, and now I'm into some AD2L. So good stuff. Good day for Dota in general. Been a lot of fun so far. You?
Yeah, how did those ability draft tournaments go?
Well, the three games we casted, all of them were we had the same team for all three. One team was the same for all three games. It was a of four teams in the one group stage, round robin. And the first two games, first game was like a 20-minute or 19-minute stomp. Second one was a 16-minute stomp, and then the third game was between the two teams that were 2-0, competing for seed position, where was like a 50-minute, like pretty solid game. It was kind of weird, very hard to cast, kills everywhere, and you have no idea what spells people are trying to throw out. It's
Yeah, I
fun though.
imagine that's got to be a unique challenge because I mean, you don't know what to expect really from the heroes because it's different from game to game. So you're kind of just watching stuff happen.
Hmm. Yeah, for
Here
sure.
early on in the draft, we have the heterosexual men picking up Faceless Void. So I've casted this team in prior weeks, and their captain, Super Juice Box, tells me, well, this whole group is from Eastern Oregon University, and when they play, they like running multiple carries. So they seem to be sticking true to that early in this draft. They've picked up the Void first.
Hmm. And I like the Siren Song's first pick in the Lion there. I know it's kind of iffy drafting a support first pick, but it's picking up a Lion so early gives you an incredible amount of burst damage and lockdown, as well as a very good lane presence and roamer. And it doesn't tell the other team anything about what you want to do as far as the draft goes. It doesn't tell you whether it's like an aggressive tri lane, a defensive tri lane, roaming supports. Like it just, well, they have a Lion, they can do pretty much anything with it. So it keeps it a little ambiguous like that. And it's really, I think it's pretty effective.
Yeah, totally agree with you on that. And I'm not sure if they would do this, but in the past, we've also seen Lions being run as solo mids because they do pretty well with experience. He can bottle and gank really quickly with that burst damage, as you mentioned. So, really, they have kept their options open with this first pick, and I think that's a great thing for teams, as you mentioned.
Hmm. Uh, Kind of pretty standard bans from both teams, though. Silencer, Death Prophet. The Puck and the Centaur are a little different, but they're not outside the box or too far from left field here. The Puck, well, I guess a bit, but um, the Elder Titan pickup. Someone's channeling their inner Big Daddy.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it, and it might have answered our question about whether this is an off-lane faceless void, because the Elder Titan usually inhabits that position. So, as expected, I think we're going to be seeing the faceless void as the carry of this game. And Elder Titan is just one of those heroes that, regardless of how you play him, he's just going to be useful because of his aura and natural order, reducing everyone's armor and magic resistance. So that's going to help, especially if they run multiple carries to just churn out more damage.
Hmm. Probably gonna look to go for that artist rat. And one thing, the natural order is nice, but it's not that effective against Timbersaw, as all of his armor is bonus armor from reactive armor. And against the Lion, I mean, you don't really want to set an entire pick up just to counter a hero, one hero per se, but the natural order will give them a lot of damage, and I imagine they'll probably want to pick up some magical burst. I think that's why we saw the Witch Doctor and the Skywrath. Witch Doctor's not magical. Oh, they go for a Sand King, so magical burst in plenty follows up. They can combo that. It'll be really nice. Get a Earth Splitter stun the center underneath the order.
Yeah, certainly. And Sand, in term with the versatility being the theme, Sand King certainly adds to that. Sand King is a hero, of course, that can help you initially in the tri lane, but when he gets Sandstorm up to level 2 or level 3, he's able to go and clear neutral camps very quickly to get his Blink Dagger. So it's another hero that fills multiple roles and can initiate, is great in team fights, or can be used in ganks.
Hmm. The Prophet pickup, so they're gonna go for some split push here. A little bit of Rat Dota coming out from the Sirens. They gives them some split push, a little, and some late game potential. Because I mean, Prophet usually wants to go for late game. You think Prophet, he goes has Hex, Orchid, or if he goes split push, pushing build, he's got the Mjolnir, Necro books, maybe a Desolator, that those kind of items. So they gives them that option. Also, it's kind of a nice pick because the HSM, heterosexual men, they've got a lot of combo heroes that want to group up and push as five, and so Prophet can be off in a side lane while they're trying to position and jostle back and forth, and just can quickly maybe take a tower or just pressure and force them back and stuff like that.
Yeah, and right as you mentioned that tendency or proclivity maybe for the Dire to group together, they picked the Viper, who is one of the ultimate scariest death ball heroes. I mean, this hero is just incredibly hard to kill.
10 seconds to
People
go.
usually get a mech on him and an Aghanim Scepter, and he just becomes a mobile tank who can take on
5
down anyone in
seconds.
the front line. So that certainly fits with the theme that you described there.
Yeah. Um, quickly
Reserve
break away from the
flag.
draft here. Do you have your mic open mic enabled in Dota? I've got my mute co-broadcasters turned off and I can't hear you talking. Just
I
make
do
sure your
have
mic's.
open mic. I have push to
Oh,
talk.
you've got it pushed to talk. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we'd be hearing you in game as well. Sorry about that. Viper picked up for the Siren songs, so that'll be their mid hero. And I like Viper against Faceless Void. He's a very difficult hero to burst. Even when if Void goes later, gets the BKB, Viper can still Viper strike the Void when he's in the Chrono and really neuter his damage in general. Not to mention pretty solid hero up against the Sand King, as he does get that extra base corrosive skin and can be still be
5
fairly
seconds.
tanky against the natural order. And OD picked up for heterosexual men. What do you think of that?
Well, this does go with their theme of preferring to play multiple carries. I think in this case they might be a bit worried about the
10
Viper
seconds
solo
to
mid,
go.
and there aren't that many heroes, honestly, that match up well against the Viper. So I think
5
OD can do
seconds.
a decent job in terms of at least making sure that he doesn't die, maybe taking the Viper out of
Reserve
some
time.
experienced creeps and getting some himself. So I think this pick kind of makes sense. Also, the pure damage also helps against the Viper's reduction, I believe.
Hmm.
So I think this is a good pick for them, and it goes in line with what they want. I usually wouldn't say that teams
Radiance
pick
ban.
OD that often or immediately, depending on matchup. It's more of a niche mid pick, I think, and I think this is a situation where it's justified.
Yeah. Question about a build. I don't play a whole lot of OD. I don't not sure if you do, but you probably played it more than I have.
10
Would you
seconds
consider
to go.
going like 1-2-2 on this Outworld, getting that early point in
Dire
Arcane
Fig.
Orb, just so you can harass the Viper back a little more effectively in lane? Would that be
I
something you'd
think
be
it
interested in?
I think that's a good idea, but it also kind of depends on what the rest of your lineup does. I feel like
Hmm.
if you were to do that, you might not have mana to really harass him sufficiently to win the lane. But if you have someone coming to rotate and gank for you, which may not be the case with Elder Titan and a Sand King who's going to be doing some support in
10
the safe
seconds
lane,
to go.
then it gives you a lot more burst damage on those initial ganks to try and pick up
5
the kill.
seconds.
So I think that that build is justifiable in certain situations. I'm not sure if we'll be seeing it this game because I don't know how much
Reserve
support he's going
time.
to get in terms of being able to kill the Viper. And if that's the case, he wants to save his mana to be able to Astral Imprison and keep stealing his hint.
Yeah, keep the Astral Imprison spam going. Make sure that if when he does get a rotation, there's a couple stacks of the minus intelligence on the Viper, and the sanity is when he drops the hammer, it really drops. That is one thing we didn't mention though. Is unfortunately he won't get the bonus damage on his orb, but if he gets an eclipse with natural order, that is going to ruin people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another great synergy that they have going on there. And it also gives them, as you mentioned earlier, a second core kind of that the Viper has to deal with because if
Radiance
you're just
pit.
running one hard carry, Viper Strike, as you discussed, just totally hamstrings that and just slows it down. But now that you have two
Venom
threats to worry
Lancer.
about, it's a little bit more on the table for Siren Song.
Hmm. Kunkka and Aveno, last picks for each team, quickly snapped up, and honestly, not a lot to say. Do you think they might switch up their lanes and run Kunkka mid and Viper in the safe lane now? Cactus Charm, I
I
think, is usually their mid, if I remember right from casting these fellas.
I haven't casted this team before, but now that you say that, that definitely makes sense because Kunkka is one of those mids that he can harass the OD without having mana necessarily to kill
Everybody
him.
get set.
So he's seen kind of as,
Let's keep it
well, I wouldn't
clean,
say a
folks.
counter, but a useful mid against a really annoying hero like OD. Although neither the Viper nor Kunkka really need loads of mana to be a threat there.
Hmm.
Let's introduce the teams. For the Radiant heterosexual men, we have Super Juicebox, their captain, on the Venomancer, Vanessa Van Cleavage on the Sand King. It looks like they're headed bottom with the Faceless Void Juancor. I'm not sure if this is the same guy who was on their team last week. Maybe it's a stand-in or a name change. In their mid, we have Booty Stank, soloing the Obsidian, or Outworld Devourer. Rather, I can't kick that old habit of giving them their Dota 1 names. And we have Beaver top with the Elder Titan.
Okay, and on the side of the Dire, Cactus Charm is taking that Kunkka up to the safe lane, it looks like, so he'll be up there. Colt Bear on the Lion, he's going to be supporting him. Juice for Zeus is playing that mid Viper, it looks like. Nature's Prophet is being handled by Just Try to Rhyme Orange. And in the off lane, last but certainly not least, I guess, maybe, I don't know, Gravity Muffins is handling the off lane Timbersaw. A little bit of flame, lots of Kappa. It should be a good time.
No smokes early on from these teams to try to look for a kill. We've seen that in a couple of these games, but looks like they're pretty content to just settle into their lanes.
Yeah. Making sure that my mic is working here. For some reason, I'm not seeing my icon picking up in Dota TV. I just want to double check to make sure that that is working properly. Go ahead. Sorry, take the cast.
All right. So an early illusion picked up here by Nature's Prophet, maybe just feigning the harass to try to put some pressure on this OD. So I'm gonna bring up the last hits here, and we'll see how the lanes go early on. As we see, there is a bit of a difference here. The tri lane is more present for the Radiant and trying to zone out that Timbersaw and make him feel unsafe. Although it's not going to be easy for them to kill him or keep him out because they only have one disable from the Sand King. So that could be something to watch here. The Timbersaw should be able to get a bit more out of this lane. He has to be careful about getting galed, but without a hard disable, he can probably get away with his Timber Chain.
Yeah, he'll be able to use his Timber Chain and escape as necessary. Sorry about that, guys. I did get my mic fixed, so my icon is showing up, so I know that I'm broadcasting in the channel. On this, I like this dual lane. I think the ET is gonna have a pretty rough time up here. Lion is just so good at harassing back with the Earth Spike spam into the mana drain. Elton's gonna have a rough day.
Yeah, and you do have the natural harass coming out from Cactus Charm on the Tidebringer. But on the other hand, while that may do a better job of bringing the Elder Titan low, pushing the wave, which is pretty much guaranteed with Tidebringer, is going to help him secure some more experience. So I think early in this game, both offlaners are probably going to get a decent amount of what they need, which is usually just some experience and farm.
Yeah, a couple last hits here. I think there'll be more last hits on the side of the Elder Titan when things are all said and done by a fair margin than the Timbersaw, just because he's going to be able to last hit with the Spirit from a decent distance. Mid, though, Orange is rotating onto the OD. Looks like he's just going to throw a right click and then get imprisoned. Awkward rotation coming out from him, but in the end, no big deal.
Yeah, just applying some pressure there, and it's not bad to make him waste an early imprisonment that he might have otherwise saved for the Viper. The Viper's already got a bit of a lead here in mid, kind of as expected, so it's not bad to just go and apply some pressure. I think he was going to check the rune anyway, so that was kind of just just passing by. Might as well throw something at him.
Yeah, for sure. And both teams kind of mishandling the equilibrium in their safe lane. Per se, Gravity Muffins doesn't have a point in reactive armor. These creeps are gonna hurt. Okay, now he's got it, so he's good to go. But just that first a little bit took a lot of damage there. How do you feel about? Go ahead. Sorry.
So this is, I was just going to say, this is one detail that you'll see in terms of managing creep equilibrium. It's one of those very nuanced, subtle skills that teams work on. So usually early on, if you have a tri-lane, you want the heroes to be in position to harass and zone out the offlaner, but without pulling creep aggro, which would cause the lane to push because those creeps would be busy attacking the harassers, and they'd be getting attacked for free by the other creeps. So usually the carry will focus on denying creeps as hard as he can. As we look at this safe lane bottom for the Radiant, the creep wave is way up too far right now. It's an experience range for Elder Titan, and you usually want it to be further down, closer to the tower, so that he feels less safe going there. Yeah, back to what you were saying, Wolf.
Kind of lost my point in you pointing out some details about the creep equilibrium, but it's the Sand King has an Invis rune, and Gravity Muffins has got to be a little careful though. I don't know if they can really get a kill, but it's just because they only have the one hard lockdown up until they get maybe an Echo Stomp or the Chronosphere online, Imprisonment, something like that to cancel out this Timbersaw's Timber Chain. But they do have that one stun. Looks like he's not really going to happen. No stacks in the jungle that I see yet coming out for the Sand King. So Blink Dagger is going to be a fair ways behind. He probably wants to get level 3 pretty quick, I imagine. He's very close, one creep away, and then just kind of go hide in the jungle.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what path he goes here too, because as we see Vanessa Van Cleavage has 2 Gauntlets of Strength in the inventory. So usually if you're rushing the Blink Dagger, you're not going to spend money on that. That points to some kind of maybe early earn build, so that would imply that they're trying to set up some kills early, and as you mentioned, there are no stacks, so that's not going to expedite the farming on the Sand King.
Hmm. Up in the top lane, Cactus Charm is just farming away. He's leading the charts, 24 and 3. The Void, his counterpart on the other team for HSM, is 23 and 1. So they're basically even. Mid lane has actually evened out quite a bit. Booty Stank on the Outworld, what is that? Devourer now. I don't. Yeah. OD is farming up pretty evenly with the Viper, only down 3 CS, so denies about even. But what do you think about this Nature's Prophet in the jungle? Oh, nope, nothing's happening.
I see this cliff jungling a decent amount, and I think it's a neat trick that people use sometimes, especially when you do it on the other guy's cliff, and they're like, and they happen to walk by sometimes or notice like, hey, something's shooting at these, and then everybody shows up to try to kill you. I think it might be a bit unnecessary at this point, even though it's efficient and helps him prevent taking damage because he's not really being contested, so he doesn't need to be so ninja about it, I think.
Maybe go for a little bit more finesse, a little more brute strength, just harass them down, kind of like maybe not as efficient but faster kind of thing. You take more damage, but you can clear out more creeps, just because he's not being pressured.
Yeah, exactly. And they do have a defensive ward up here, so obviously you can smoke around it, but they would be able to see if there's any kind of rotation from the Venomancer to try and contest the creeps. And I'd like to see just try to stack the creeps as well when he's farming them to get some more gold out of them.
I know that's one thing I like to do on Doom is, especially on the Dyers, I'll stack this big camp as many times as I can up until a Wildkin shows up, and then I'll just tank creep waves, not use any mana, go eat the Wildkin, and then tornado it down, and then go back to the base. Get a nice burst like that.
Being able to cast that tornado yourself is great for jungling. It just speeds things up so much. Another thing I want to mention bottom, just a small detail, but of course details matter. The Void did end up going for Hand of Midas, which is what I thought his early gloves would be. What some players will try to do is they'll usually save up for the Midas recipe first and then deliver it to themselves. What that does is it gives you a little bit more time of concealing what your build's going to be, because the gloves kinds of gives it away early on, but also it's a little bit more efficient because instead of delivering the recipe to yourself when you have the Midas, which might not be at the exact time that you have the gold for it, if you have the recipe first, you can go to the side shop and just instantly buy that Midas as soon as it's ready. So that's a minor detail, but you know, this is a game where minor details matter, so
yeah.
Like that can add up.
And from when you started talking about it until when he got the Midas, it was probably about a total of about 30 seconds before he was able to actually use it after he purchased it. So it does reduce that uptime a little bit, reduces his efficiency a little bit, but also these guys they're giving it their best, they're all trying, but they're having fun too. This is a league where having some fun matters, but they're also trying their best. So it's fun to see, but I'm sure they'll enjoy learning a little bit if they watch the VODs.
Absolutely. And top for the Elder Titan here, he's got a phase boots, which is also not the usual soul ring pickup that we see from the Elder Titan, but he hasn't really felt threatened, I would say, from that lane, so he probably feels okay going for maybe some early mobility instead of needing soul ring to spam the spirits.
No, for sure. He's going to have an early bracer here. Probably going to go for a drums build. Lots of movement speed coming out from the Elder Titan, which makes me think that, especially because he's got max spirit and max natural order, he wants to be able to phase through and just staple people. You know, just really go for the staples. So far, no first blood, though. 8.5 minutes in. We see some movement coming around. There's a random Viper sitting over here by this Dire shop, and a Venomancer smoke not too far away. It's actually going to get broken. This Super Juicebox is going to be real confused. He's going to come up the hill, runs into a DD Viper, and I think this is going to be your first blood. Juicebox runs into a, I don't know what you want to call that, the Poison Prime hero, if you will.
Yeah,
Gets
that
quickly
latter
cleaned
play
up.
though, the Viper was lying in wait for it. It kind of felt like from the pings they were gonna try to go around top, but if you want to send a gift his way, he'll take it.
Yeah. So a pretty easy and effective first blood coming out for Juice for Zeus. He's gonna be happy with that. Um, but good job for Super Juice Box. You know, way to tank the gank, as it were. You know, his offlane Elder Titan doesn't get picked up, just the support Veno. So the captain showing that he's selfless, making the big plays. This Viper's gonna go onto the OD though. He's got his phase boots up and running. He's gonna chase it down. Vanessa Van Cleve comes in with a burrow strike. OD drops the ulti, gets off the imprisonment. They're gonna wait. 6 seconds left on the next burrow strike, and the Juicebox is here in the Veno. Misses the Gale, gets a Plague Ward down. One more right click, and he's gonna go down. Juicebox, there it is. Void leaps in, gets the last hit, and that's gonna be really good for Encore on the Void picking up that kill.
Yeah, it's a bit of a delayed time, but that was basically a support for a carry there because he kind of stuck around, although it's not part of the same fight technically. But yeah, it's a nice pickup for them and a bit overzealous from Juice for Zeus. I think going a bit deep there, but yeah, that's the type of thing that you want to see out of these teams, especially when you're playing together. Is to just get more heroes to the point of contact and get your rotations straight faster than the other guy does. So that's a good sign here for early for HSM.
Void did find a haste rune and was looking for that timber saw, but unable to find him. He was sitting deep by his tower, so nothing came of it. He's just going to keep farming up. And with that kill, though, I think it puts him pretty well. He's got 60 CS at 10 minutes and 30 seconds, which I think is pretty good for these guys. Like we're not expecting, you know, something like black level of farm here, but this guy with 60 CS at 63 now at almost 11 minutes, 64 if he gets this. I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah, that is pretty good, especially considering that they didn't really zone out the timber saw, so he was able to maybe get in there and
Get some
be a bit of an
chains
annoyance.
off.
So, yeah, that is pretty good, and of course he does have the Midas, and there is not a Midas on the Dire team. And one other thing I want to point out about the death from the Viper is Phase Boots is an interesting build on Viper. It obviously gives him more speed, ability to chase and hunt people down, but I think most players opt to go for a Power Treads on the Viper just because it has good synergy with the Corrosive Skin. It gives him more HP and makes him tankier. I don't think he would have survived there with 4 heroes bearing down on him, but that's an interesting choice to watch in these early skirmishes.
One thing too, with the build he's going, I imagine he's probably gonna max another toxin now that he's got the poison attack maxed. But he is going a right-click Viper. He is not going, I'm gonna build a mech and just tank up, or Crimson Guard, as it were. He is definitely going the right-click. So the phase boots with that extra 24 damage will get the nether toxin percentage higher, so he'll get the bonus damage from that nether toxin faster.
Top tower's getting beat down.
That's an excellent point. When we see the Kunkka, I think he's going for a Battle Fury. But yeah, I think that's a team decision that they could have sussed out or made, which is, hey, we need more sources of physical damage, especially early, because Kunkka's more about control until he starts getting some items up. So having their Viper just have that extra burst is pretty valuable if they want to fight.
And it synergizes well with his Viper Strike, and he gets another DD rune. The Rune of Destiny is strong with this guy. Jeez.
Yeah,
Wish I hit his luck.
Right when he needs him.
So this Prophet, he's got his Midas. He's used it once. I didn't see how long. Haven't seen how long he's got it, but it's just coming off cooldown again. So I can imagine he's probably had it for the minute and a half, or was it 130 second 100 second cooldown. So minute and some change there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what item path he goes, if he tries to go for more disable to set up his team, or if he goes directly into damage. And we'll see. He hasn't really made any rotations, and the Dire team has been pretty content to, I think, just farm and sit in their lanes rather than try to make too many things happen. So we'll wonder what direction he's going to go in with his next choice of item.
So in a game where both teams sit back and do a lot of farming, who do you think is going to come out ahead? Void's is transitioning into that early Mask of Madness, so he has attack speed and max time lock. So he's got, if he gets solo chronos on like a Lion, the Nature's Prophet, Viper, if he gets procs, will go down fairly easily as well. Kunkka might be a little bit too tanky though. And then Timbersaw only has the 1 point in armor, so he'll go drop pretty quick as well. So most of the heroes very vulnerable to that Chronosphere. But if they both like settling down for a late game, who do you think's got the edge here? You give it to the Prophet, just with all the split push, or Chrono with the team fight?
I think the Well, I think it's hard to say, but both teams, I think, have different profiles when it comes to fighting. For example, I would say the Radiant is more of an ultimate dependent team. I mean, they're going to be looking for that Faceless Void ult to set things up. The OD ult obviously has a low cooldown and does a lot of damage. You have the Sand King ult and the Venomancer ult. So they have a lot of burst damage coming out from their ults, but they have cooldowns on those. Versus the Dire team have much more sustain, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, up in the top lane, we're gonna have an imprisonment onto the Viper and an Astral. Holy crap! Drops the Saturday's Eclipse and quickly drops the Viper and the Nature's Prophet. Booty Stank making a play, dropping the hammer with that extra intelligence stolen. Nice work coming up from him and a nice play from the Vanessa Van Cleavage. They actually managed to bait them out a little bit. They were he was sitting sandstormed up here, and they kind of ran up the hill and then ran back that way. Ooh, I can draw an arrow. Ran back that way, and that's when they got imprisoned and burrow struck. And nice play coming up from them.
Yeah, and nice Earth Splitter there, the ult from the Elder Titan catching the Viper just in time to basically deal a ton of damage and slow him down so they could finish him off. So back to what I was saying, there's a lot of sustained damage for the Dire. As you saw in that fight, the burst just came out real quick and they ended it. But in terms of when you talk about heroes like Viper, Timbersaw, Kunkka, who's going to want multiple cleaves and rounds of spells, there's a ton of sustain coming out. So it's really going to come down to which team executes their fight profile better. I think for the Dire, for Siren Song, they want to bait out more of the big spells, not get totally caught or destroyed in the first round of them, and then continue dishing out damage. So that'll be interesting to see. I always like watching these teams with kind of contrasting styles or profiles to see who gets their thing done better.
Yeah, no, for sure. Up in the top lane, Void's gonna leap in. He gets the solo chrono and Cactus Charm. The Elder Titan Spirit comes out, and that's a lot of damage. Gets off a hoof stomp, and he's gonna drop down before he can even do anything. Viper's gonna look to re-engage, gets a Viper Strike off, as well as the Sprout, and Honker is just melting. That Mask of Madness working against him right there. Get a Hex out onto Vanessa Van Cleavage on the Sand King, and they need to get another... Oh, he's starting to channel the Epicenter, though. I don't think he's going to be able to get it off. Nice Sandstorm there. They're just going to have to tank that. They're going to have an Earth Splitter in a sec. Oh, it misses. Nice Burrow Strike. Vanessa doesn't quite make it to low ground. Does drop, I believe, to the Viper. Yeah, OD's going to go ham on the Nature's Prophet, though. And I think Juicebox is in a tough place. He's one more right click. I don't know if they have any way to slow this. He's bottling up. Kunkka did buy back and is probably going to TP in. He already has. Torrent comes up for him. Nice boat as well. The Torrent lands. This is going to be a boat on 2. Boat on 1. Nice play from him. But Juice for Zeus just barely making it away. They turn around. OD is going to drop from this. Gets a little too aggressive and a nice buyback from the Cactus Charm there to save his buddy. So, worth it, I guess, I would say, for Cactus Charm. Nice play from him.
Yeah, Captain Kunkka showing his chops there, making the nice play coming back in, which ultimately ends up being a 4-for-1 after the dust clears from the initial fight. And that's what we were talking about there. There's the Chronosphere, that quick burst down, but as a nice re-engage from the Dire as we see Void getting another kill here on the line. Is he going to get it? Oh, wow, and he didn't deliver the last hit in time, and there's a clutch ult there from the line to be able to trade that kill. So that was a pretty good situation again there for the Dire.
Yeah, the fight top is actually a 5-for-3, but the buyback and then a 1-for-1 on the bottom lane. So I think Siren Song is coming out ahead, and holy crap, look at the net worth and the experience graph. They just shoot straight down after that from about 1,500, 2,000-ish. Oh, sorry, 3,000 experience and about 1,500 gold, straight down to even and slightly in favor of the Dire. So nice plays coming up from them. Kunkka's almost got his Battle Fury. He's only about 1,000 away, just under 1,000. And the news?
Yeah, that was a great set of fights for them, and I like that discipline for them to re-engage and say, hey, we lost one of our heroes to the Chronosphere, but they don't have anything left. They came back in, quickly disposed the Void, and continue to spread out for the big ults and neutralize them, and good individual plays all around, but ultimately the Dire came out. Also in the jungle, as you mentioned, the Timbersaw did get a solo kill on the Venomancer, so that just adds to his collection.
And he's got that Soul Ring, so he's going to look to eventually build into that Bloodstone. What do you think of the new build-up for the Bloodstone? I like it, because it's a lot easier to build it piecemeal on some of these heroes that maybe don't get all the as much farm as they want, but still really want a Bloodstone. Now, there's not too many of those, but just certain heroes, like maybe Leshrac comes to mind, and just a couple of heroes like that that have a lot of spells to cast constantly.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean, the Soul Ring is really helpful early if you build that as the first component, obviously for heroes that need some mana, especially in the offlane. And then the Soul Ring itself costs less than just 1 ring of health or Mana Stone, Void Stone rather. So that certainly helps its completion. The one small peeve that I don't really like about it is when you actually finish the Bloodstone, you can't use the Soul Ring anymore. But of course, that's just the trade-off that you gotta make for having
Yeah.
the Bloodstone.
But it at least the Force Staff doesn't make it to the high ground for Booty Stank. He's gonna get cleaned up by the Nether Strike of the Super Juice Box. Nice ulti Burrow Strike coming out from Vanessa Van Cleve. Torrent's gonna land though. He's not gonna make it out in time. Timbersaw throws out a Chakram. Vanessa Van Cleve dropping very low, gets hit by the Wrath of Nature and cleaned up by the Timber Chain. So nice play from there. Viper's gonna be all right, I think. I don't know. He's got Venomous Gale taking for 30 damage and a Poison Sting. Yeah, he's gonna be all right, but dropped pretty low.
On him too from the Sand King, but Viper just showing off what one of the things that makes him so strong. Just a tanky hero, durable.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have maxed Croesus skin yet. He did go for that 4-4-1 that I was mentioned earlier, so a lot of damage coming from it. He's gonna go Orchid. What do you think of that? I mean, against their team, it's good. You want to cancel the Void. You want to stop the OD from getting off his imprisonment and his Sanity's Eclipse, the Veno from casting Nova if you can, and stuff like that. But just on the Viper, what do you think? Maybe a better profit item?
Yeah, I really think it is a better profit item because the Viper is fast, but usually his role in these fights, he's not one of those heroes that's good at, say, being out of the fog and suddenly coming in and silencing someone. He's more of someone you want on the front lines or spearheading your pushes. And for a lot of these initiation spells, as you mentioned, for the Sand King's ultimate, for the OD.
Meanwhile, bottom, Void leaps in, gets a nice Chrono on too. Colt Bear on the line's going to go down. Sanity's Eclipse comes out, doesn't do a whole lot. Fortunately, the only person left, I believe, is that the Viper in there? No, that was the Nature's Prophet dropped in there. So he had a lot of int, didn't go down. Timbersaw is looking to clean up this Venomancer. Juicebox is dropping low. And that's going to be a 2-for-0 exchange. Nice use of the Void ulti there. Sanity's Eclipse, a little wasted. The line was already toast, and then Nature's Prophet has enough intelligence that it didn't do a whole lot. So, unfortunate there, and they don't have it for this. But Viper Strike's going to come out as they push this tower. Nice boat's going to come through, land on 3. That quickly cleans up the OD. Void manages to backtrack a bit of damage. Timbersaw chains in, gets the kill on the Sand King, and they're going to look to chase down this Elder Titan, and he does drop to last tower shot. X onto the Venomancer, and he's going to get quickly picked up by the Kunkka and the Viper. So all in all, a 4-for-2 exchange. They did lose the Lion and the Nature's Prophet, but that was a fantastic boat combo coming out from Cactus Charm. They took that fight 4-for-0 after going into it 5v3. So an impressive play and teamwork coming out for them, able to make it work with their 3 cores. Or well.
Yeah, another impressive play by Cactus Charm. Sorry, he's not the captain has Gravity Muffins, but another great play there by the Kunkka, and that's kind of the theme that we were talking about, right? Some of the burst damage was used bottom with the Chronosphere to be able to get those quick kills. They continued going back up to the tower, and then they got set up by an excellent set of Kunkka spells, plus all that sustained damage coming out from the Timbersaw and Viper to be able to take the rest of that fight. And going back, as we have a pause now, to what I was saying about the Viper in terms of the item choice that he's going with the Orc and Malevolence. So that's one of the things I was talking about. Usually when you have like a hero of like Void or Sand King that have good initiation ultimates, they're not going to be in vision of you most of the time. They're just going to come in and cast their spells. So if you have an Orchid on a frontline hero like Viper, you're going to have to either be super fast and get that off before those spells, or you're going to need something that gets you to reposition so that you can silence them and stop them. So it is better, I think, for Nature's Prophet to pick up that item precisely because he can be on the other side of the map and reposition into the fight instead of having a hero like Viper do it.
And Prophet does, it's not uncommon to see a Prophet build a Blink either, so if he sees the Void, he can Blink Orchid him as well for the cleanup, just because lots of times Prophets want the Blink to head into the trees. Oh, missed a kill bottom. Looks like Timbersaw and Lion managed to clean up the Sand King, so probably a little quick, easy kill there. Poor Sand King, not a lot he can do if he gets stunned and hexed. But would you consider going Blink on Viper? Blink Orchid Viper Strike and then Raffle on them. Meanwhile, top, we're going to have Nature's Prophet gets caught out by the OD and the Void. Farm in the jungle. Nice boat. Torrent again coming through. Void pops a BKB. OD is dropping very low. Gets hit by the Tidebringer. And both teams are going to want to engage. No Chronosphere mana for the Void. And OD was pretty low and doesn't have Sanity's Eclipse. So doesn't want to go. Sorry. Blink Viper. Is that a thing? Doesn't look like it.
It is sometimes, although the last time I've seen a Blink Viper was actually Sing Sing doing it in a pub game, but I don't think I would do that.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't think I would would do that in this game, just because it really depends what role you plan to use Viper as. I think Viper is a good fit in this game. Again, if you have him in the front line, able to cast his ultimate multiple times with an Aghanim Scepter to slow down these heroes like Void and OD and prevent them from dealing damage. So I would like to see the Viper, I think, go for a bit of a tankier build rather than some kind of mobile chase down or pick off build, because I think the game is going to turn into a series of team fights more than anything now, and he doesn't really, he just needs to be able to survive. I mean, he's got 1100 HP, he finally has his corrosive skin maxed out, but he's still not that hard to kill.
No, this is a game where you almost want to see your Viper with treads, a mech, and a pipe, and just kind of sitting there in the middle going, yeah, I don't hit real hard, but you're not going to kill me or my team. Just because, like, if you look at it, 4 of the heroes, literally all of their damage comes from magical ultimates. Minus the Void. And, I mean, his damage comes from magical procs of Time Lock. So, I mean, you can block some of the Time Lock damage with the extra magic resistance as well, or the pipe. And even the OD's, pure damage will be absorbed by the active of a pipe, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe it should be, right?
I'm actually not sure on that. I'll have to check that out. Looking at the orb here, it does say it does not pierce spell immunity, but that's not the same thing.
No.
But additionally, yeah, you made a great point there about the pipe. I think it's an item that I don't see enough of in these games or in pub games. It's an item that it's actually almost kind of rare, but in a lot of games, I mean, how often do you go a game where you see a lineup not having any magic damage or not having enough magic damage to justify pipe? Especially in a game like this where pipe would be huge for so much of the burst coming out from HSM.
I think the way it works is because it's pure damage is still magical damage. Oh, we have a Burrow Strike onto the Timbersaw. He throws out the Chakram. He's going to get hit by the Gale, though. Gravity Muffin's running away, looking for something to chain to. He's going to make that tree, but I don't think he's out of this yet. Nope, he decides to suicide himself, and I think that's probably a good call. Kunkka's caught out, though, gets chronoed, and Void's going to go to town. This is going to be a dead Cactus Charm. Beaver runs in there to get the extra damage from his aura, and nice Earth Splitter coming out. That's going to land on the line. There's not a lot he can do. Oh, gets saved by the OD, I guess. Kind of. Saved for later, more like. They're just going to eat him up now. And who knew lion meat was tasty?
Yeah, as long as it was just, slow him and wait for the pack to catch up there to enjoy the meal together. So, yeah, that was a disastrous turn of events for the dire path for Kunkka that ended up going right into the Chronosphere and get some towers out of it.
Well, he doesn't have a Blink Dagger, and there wasn't anywhere he could go. He was caught out of position there, alone and scared and bad. But I liked. The one upside is they did lose 2 there, but they lost. Well, I guess they lost 3 But Gravity Muffins, he did deny himself with the Bloodstone, so what did use that cooldown? And I mean, it's never great when you lose the charges, but he wasn't making it away. That OD was closing in and had another imprisonment up, and as soon as that went off, he was toast.
Yeah, and we see the Faceless Void having completed his Black King bar, going for an Aghanim Scepter here, so it's not really a pure damage build, more of being able to survive some of the counter initiation and have a longer Chronosphere for his team to do things in. And I think this is a good choice in the context of this game. I think with some of the answers that they have for Void, or the ability to lock him down or slow him down a little bit, being able to set up your teammates might be a bit more important, and having, of course, more Chronospheres at a greater frequency than just having more pure damage on his own.
I really like it. I know the OD isn't a full length range hero. He's only got 450 attack range, but he can deal. Sandy's Eclipse is a very large range, and he can orb walk from outside of the Chronosphere very effectively. Orchid comes out from the Viper onto the OD. They've got 3 rotating here. Nice Earth Splitter. It's gonna connect on 1. I think it hit the Timbersaw, but they're gonna look to back. Beaver doing a nice job of sitting behind his core, pushing him back. Gravity Muffin throws out a Timbersaw. OD, it drops an ultimate, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. Nice 3-man chrono. Colt Bear walks into on the edge. They're going to get juice for Zeus. OD is starting to orb out from a distance, but Sand King comes in with an nice epicenter. That's a quick 4 for nil wipe, not to mention the Veno ulti thrown in on top of that. And they're just going to look to push down mid now. This is going to be a tier 2, and they're going to look to pressure Rax off this, I'm sure. They're all full health, and they have a creep wave right there with them. So if they can keep it alive and quickly clear out this tower, they are going to use their fort. But I think this is for sure a tier 2, maybe some chip damage on the tier 3. But
Yeah,
excellent
might
fight
have
from them.
left to go for Roshan after as well. But that was a beautiful fight from HSM. Made me forget that I'm casting supposedly AD2L over here. It's a beautiful combination of spells. First, they saved the OD. They chained everything together. The Chronosphere caught 4. They got some kills off of that. The Stomp went off and immobilized the team right after the Chronosphere ended to set up the Sand King Epicenter. So a beautiful combination there from the Radiant. Awesome team play from HSM. And this is much better than the team that we saw last week. So I hope we continue seeing more of this.
No, these guys are playing very well. The coordination coming up from HSM is pretty impressive. I think I've talked to Super Juice Box a few times. I believe they practice from time to time. Obviously, it's not a hardcore practice schedule because they are all students as well, as I can attest to. But they practice when they can, and they play a lot of pubs together, I believe. So they coordinate well, and I think they communicate really well. You see all those ultis going off in time. That just shows that they're talking, and they're vocal. I don't know for sure if it's Super Juice Box making the calls, but someone on that team is doing a very good job of saying, okay, go, Void, go, 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 or that, or they just have how sometimes you just mesh with people and you don't really have to say, they know that what you're gonna do, and you know that they know what you're gonna do, so it just works out great. It's kind of weird,
exactly.
but
And that's the next level of communication and teamwork, right? When you don't have to verbally say everything and you're kind of just on the same page, you just have that, and that comes from continuity and experience and playing together. And I think, whatever the reason was for that being so great, they just really displayed that in that last fight.
Prophet does have a Desolator though, so just try to rhyme orange is going for that, and I believe he's going into a Necro book with that Staff of Wizardry, so he can start to look to actually rat these. And now, for as nice of a team fight as that was for HSM, and I believe they have a pretty solid gold lead. Experience is about 7,500, and gold's about 5k, so they're up there, not too far, but they are up there. This Prophet has been doing a decent job of taking towers. Both the outer tier ones are gone. They have lost their 2 towers mid, but that's been off the back of team fights and the Radiant just pushing down mid. So with that, I wish he had gone for a Maelstrom. I think it would be a lot better for his push potential, but Necrobook will be really good once he gets to a tower.
Yeah, and of course, Desolator itself is great for reducing tower armor to help the treants increase speed on it some more. One other thing to look out for as the game progresses, we mentioned that the Void, as we have a fight breaking out bottom.
Bottom lane, Cactus Charm is going to get cleaned up by a nice Sand King ulti and combo coming up from there. His team, unfortunately, had the TP in, and he was a little bit far up. They weren't able to get them, but Viper's going to Orchid the Veno and pop his ulti on him, but Sand King's looking to reinitiate. He gets off another nice Burrow Strike. Excellent Chrono, catches all 3. Venomancer's there, but he doesn't pop his ulti yet. Looks like they're just trying to harass down. They're going to be able to clean up Colt Bear. Vanessa Van Cleve, oh, he gets out of the Chakram just in time. And that's another nice double kill coming from the Void. In the end, it's 4-0. I didn't see where the Nature's Prophet died. It looks like he was cleaned up by the Elder Titan. Did Elder Titan solo kill him? What?
I believe so. I was watching the fight bottom too, but there seems to have been no one else in the vicinity, so it must have been the Elder Titan spiriting him up and just punching him down.
Maybe Booty Stank was around. Maybe he got a couple orbs in there to help out. I'm not sure, but off that they get a nice tower. They don't get the tower bottom, but they got 4 kills and a tier 1 top, so they're gonna be really happy with that, and that's really gonna push them ahead.
Yeah, and the OD, he's starting to get some int, he's starting to get some items up, he's got that Mystic Staff. Just a few minutes ago, the second Sanity Eclipse, I think he had about 85 int, but now he's up in the 120 range, so that Eclipse is going to start hurting a lot more than it did before, as his Shivas is complete, so that's one thing to look out for in terms of the sustained damage coming out for HSM, and they've been doing so well in these burst team fights with their ults, so I think things are on a pretty good track for them.
Yeah, the OD's got what is that? 130 intelligence, and Kunkka's got 40. It's gonna suck. Lion's sitting at about 48, so it's gonna suck for him too. Timber's got 57, also gonna suck. The only person I think that won't get instantly blown up is the Nature's Prophet, who's going for an Ag Scepter. What else do you buy with a Blade of Alacrity and a Staff of Wizardry? So, interesting choice from him. I know Ags is good for farming, right? Like, if you're gonna get an Ags on Prophet, that's what you want it for, if I'm not mistaken. Is just to farm.
Yeah, that's a farming item on him, although it has, of course, the downside of spamming your ult of keeping gold away from the hands of your allies. Just a moment.
So unfortunately, that ulti does have the Naga Siren effect. It will clear up a lot of available gold for your team, but it does keep the lanes pushed out. That said, in the meantime, we're gonna see Booty Stank looking for this Prophet. He's gonna TP out though. Haste Rune, he's not able to find them.
Just a second, Wolf.
So in the meantime, though, Cactus Charm's gonna continue to farm up mid lane. He's got that Battle Fury. Unfortunately, it has been a long time since he's able to get another item, and the Radiant's just gonna invade the jungle here. They get a nice sentry up here, so they know there's no vision of them. And they've got a good ward down here as well, so they can see, they have pretty solid vision in about that area of the map. And then up on the top lane, Juice for Zeus is looking for, trying to find someone there, but nothing around. Lion's making his way out, probably trying to, just picking up a TP. Surprised no one's gone for Roshan yet. As I said, that the Radiant are rotating towards it. Then they are going to go for the Roshan. Oh, no, they were just checking it. They weren't sure where the Dire were. They weren't on the map, but the vision coming out on the side of the Radiance is just very impressive right now. You back with me, Mr. Barbecue?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that brief interruption. Yeah, there's a lot of ward coverage coming out for the Radiant, so obviously information is very important in this game, and they can kind of pick their spots and decide what to do. I mean, looking at the Dire heroes, there's no real urgent need for the Radiant to end things. They can basically just take a fight every time they have Chronosphere up and patiently just keep building their lead.
In the meantime, though, an Invis Nature's Prophet's going to get hit. They know that they have a sentry here, but he walks outside of it, and he's sitting actually on top of an ob, so if he comes out of stealth, they're going to know where he is. And if he wanders back down, they might see him. Mr. Orange is playing with fire a little bit there, and Sand King says, "Fuck this, I'm getting a gem."
Yeah, he doesn't want any more of those shenanigans to go unpunished. And yeah, as we're talking about that Nature's Prophet, as you mentioned, another place that I've seen that build with is if you get more of a nuke build for burst. Like let's say you're going E-Blade and Dagon or something, then if E-Blade someone and then cast the ult while it bounces around and comes back, it might not hit someone during the E-Blade, but that just gives him so much
potential
for fights. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and it'll give him a lot of counter push too, which I feel like they're gonna have to start dealing with here pretty quick. Is the counter push. Having a pretty large nuke on a 1-minute cooldown like that is pretty solid. It'll keep the lanes pushed away from their base, and it might buy enough time for them to kind of maybe not catch back up per se, but stem the flow and start the catch up, if it will. Unfortunately, they're pretty weak. Lion, it looks like, is going for a pipe though. He has a headdress and a ring of health, so this poor, incredibly poor Lion is looking to get one of those. Lots of pings coming around here.
It's one of those games as a support player where, you know, if you're kind of a bit behind or your team's not doing too great and you're kind of poor and just trying not to die, and he's not in Milk Award range because he's only died 6 times, but he's feeling pretty desperate now to try to get something done.
Yeah, one nice thing about Lion though is he's always got a lot of burst damage. At any point in the game, that hero does a lot of damage, and once he needs about 300 some XP, or a little less than 300. He'll have his second level of finger, so he can throw that a lot more freely, toss it out there a lot more freely. The problem is when you're this underleveled and underfarmed. I like playing Lion as a support. He's very effective, good, solid damage, solid stuns, crowd control, all that jazz. Also very nice because you don't have to go back to base with him ever. You can always just Tranquil Boots and Mana Drain up. But I like to pick up a Null Talisman on him, just because his mana pool is pretty small for how expensive Finger is. Level 2 costs 420 mana, and then his nuke is 170, and then the Hex is 125. So to throw out all his spells once is like, at level 11 is damn near 700 mana.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it alludes to the value of just picking up casual or stats items just to help you in the early game. I mean, every point of stats does matter. Of course, you want to be able to cast your combos in those early fights to maximize your effectiveness. It gives them some more survival too, as we see a fight possibly breaking out here in your
yeah. The HSM is in here doing Roche, and they're gonna know that they're turning in. Elder Titan's gonna go for a stomp. Nice stomp, lands on 3. Echo Slam into the Earth Splitter with an epicenter on top. They're gonna look to clean up Cactus Charm. He gets a nice boat off Gets him the buff, but it's not going to be enough. They drop an ulti on Juice for Zeus. That extra magic resistance really helping out, though. But these orbs are hurting, and we're going to have an Elder Titan Stomp. That's going to clean him up, and so it's a quick 3-for-1 exchange. The Sand King did throw his body into the fire there, and they're looking at this Timbersaw. They're not going to go. They still have Chronosphere, which, I mean, on an Ags is a 1-minute cooldown, so it's not a big deal. Speaking of Void with Chronosphere, he's also got an Eagle Song now, so he's going Butterfly. You're not going to be able to kill him.
Yep, and he's got the money to finish it, and I think that just speaks to the lead and the positioning of that fight there. They didn't even have to use the Chronosphere, and they still won that fight pretty handily, going 3-for-1.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and they've got a...
Now, so
yeah.
Might have been the last one of his life.
Yeah, he's going to try and TP out, but that's not happening. Not when the OD is hitting you for like 300 pure damage. Or sorry, 200 pure damage almost. That's just an absurd amount of damage that can come out from the OD right at this point in the game. I imagine he's probably going to want to go for a Refresher Orb if it goes that long, and they don't even give the... they give the Aegis to the Elder Titan. Jeez.
Yeah, I didn't see the Void drop or sell anything there, so they're feeling pretty confident that they're not going to need it.
He wants to keep using his Midas up until he can get whatever he's going for next.
Yep, and the way we've seen these last few fights go, I mean, I haven't really seen the OD or the Void seriously get threatened, so they might just say, you know what, Elder Titan, you're usually pretty close to the fight, you're there providing that aura that just adds all that damage for both of us. We'd rather you just be able to come back alive if they do manage to bring you down. So not a bad choice for them, and not a whole lot of pressure really for them to put that on the course.
No, for sure. And what it does is it lets the Elder Titan play very aggressive. He did go for that phase drums build, so he's kind of... Elder Titan's not the fastest hero in the world, but it makes him a little quicker, right? So he wants to be able to run in there, get his natural order debuff on the enemy heroes, start hitting people with that big staple gun, and do some damage like that. And so even if he gets picked off, you know, by a nice torrent boat or a combo from the Timbersaw, which he is the most susceptible to the Timbersaw, I would say. Being a strength hero and the Timbersaw doing really solid pure damage and stuff like that. Void's got magic immunity. He doesn't care. Elder Titan. Oh, he does have a BKB as well. I hadn't clicked on him and hadn't realized that. Gets an AC as well. Nice job for him. But he's going to be in melee range of that Timbersaw, and that's not somewhere you want to be as a strength hero. Basically, my point.
Yeah, and I was wondering what you said earlier with the staples, but you just mentioned the staple gun now, and looking at it, it really does look like a...
It's totally a staple gun, or sometimes referred to as the briefcase.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, like one of those little like Bob Vila toolkit.
In the bottom lane, though, nice stomp comes out onto the Nature's Prophet, and he's gonna get staple gunned down. Elder Titan, he hits hard and fast with that Assault Curse. He had about 110 damage from his Ancestral Spirit. And then Nature's Prophet doesn't have any armor items. All his armor comes from stats. And then he's -6 on top of that. That's just rude. Rude levels of armor debuff. And so he crumpled under that.
Yeah, and this is kind of snuck up on us a little bit. Forget about the Void and OD. This guy himself in the front line is punching away. Is bringing quite a bit to the fight himself.
Look at how big he is. That's terrifying. Meanwhile, we have a Venomous Gale comes out on the Gravity Muffins. He's going to look to Timbersaw away. Unfortunately, he gets caught by a Bro Strike, not able to make it out anywhere. OD is chasing the Lion off on the side. I hear a BKB popped by the Viper. He's going to look to get chased down, gets chronoed up, and this Void is going to clean him up easily. And I hate to say it, but I think this is Rax. There's no buybacks. Profit's down for 7 seconds. Timbersaw's for 30. Viper for 60. They're just gonna walk up high ground, and unfortunately, Kunkka's boat's on cooldown for a little bit longer, and well, it's an underfarmed Lion who's real sad. So I mean, there's only so much you can do. Boat's gonna come through though. It's gonna miss. Nice hit onto the Elder Titan. Oh, and he gets bursted by the Lion. Lion gives him the finger, says screw you. I do some damage, but at the same time, he's got an Aegis, so it doesn't really matter. They quickly clean up a Rax. Prophet is back, and he is pushing top very hard. They're gonna lose that the Radiant tier 2, but they already got a set of racks, so they're gonna be happy with that. If they stick around here too long or some TPs get canceled, they might enter misplay territory here. They gotta kind of be careful, but unfortunately he doesn't have a Maelstrom to clear out the creep wave. He's got to click each creep individually, and he's gonna TP up to the high ground. He's just gonna watch and see who rotates in. He sees the OD, so he's throwing some right clicks at him, but this is like cliff jungling gone wrong. That is, Oh no, 7 seconds. Is there anyone? Venomancer's in the area. He's gonna get a Plague Ward up there real soon. Throws up the Wrath of Nature. Gets on cooldown. Venomancer's like, ow, as he wanders away. And he is gonna make it out though. So, in the end, it works out. But
Yeah, that's a creep that you can't jungle that quickly up there on the cliff. Although he might have had a brief window there to do a bit more damage with the OD bearing down on him because none of the Radiant heroes carried a TP. So I hope they address that or have some countermeasure in place for the split push because with that tier 2 gone, their base tower is exposed and it's down to half health. So of course, if you're winning the main fight, you don't want to be getting ratted in return and lose a key objective for it.
on that note, Void from nowhere pulls out a Daedalus after finishing his butterfly and selling his Midas. He's got 1,200 gold in the bank, and he's gonna have boots of travel here after probably a minute or two. Not even like give him a minute, and he'll have his boots of travel. So he'll be able to TP back Chrono and kill the Nature's Prophet, and then just walk back and have Chrono back up probably about the same time Nature's Prophet respawns, just because he's got that Ag Scepter with a 1 minute cooldown.
Yeah, and with Radiant bearing down in the mid, it looks like they're going to go top here to take out that tier 2. There may not be that much time or an opportunity, and I think what they're doing here, this smoke push top, is a good idea for multiple reasons. First is they might be thinking, well, look, the other team knows that we're looking to push. They're going to send their Nature's Prophet to try to rat this top, so maybe we can find him in the woods or getting ready to rat. And as they try to smoke and look for a fight here, the other thing that it does is by pushing the top lane, since you already have bottom Raxes instead of middle, it forces the other team to split defend further away. Like if you had pushed mid instead, well, they're only like a few screens away from the bottom lane in defending. But if you decide to push your top, taking not only the last tier 2 so that you can threaten those Raxes as well, it just makes it a harder decision for the other team in terms of spacing to adequately defend. And of course, they didn't get anything out of that smoke, but I think that was a really good decision by them and pretty good discipline by the Dire to not get caught there.
Given the opportunity, I will always take a lane of Rax rather than the mid lane, if that makes sense, like an off lane. Whether that's mid or the bottom or top, I would much prefer getting one of those lanes, just because then you can go to the opposite side and pressure it and really rat them out. Meanwhile, OD says, rip Prophet. He did use Sanity's Eclipse for that. Probably a little bit of overkill. He's got himself a... back in the mid lane, though, Chrono comes out, manages to catch pretty much everybody. Both teams included. Venomancer ulti goes out as well, and that's a quick triple kill for the Faceless Void. He got a couple crits, and that's going to be GG. Who cares that the OD almost had a sheep stick? Doesn't even matter.
Yep, his only job there was to dispose the rat, and his team did the rest. As we wrap up game 1 here. So, Wolf, what do you think about this game and what the team should be looking forward to next game, or any adjustments they can make?
I think the draft from Siren Songs was a little I didn't like the Jungle Prophet. I think it was a little too greedy. I think they should have gone for another roaming support because Lion, unfortunately, being the only support, as I don't think anyone else was trying to help him out buying wards, upping the crow, and just those little things that really supports have to do. But because of that, he wasn't able to get that pipe ever. He wasn't able to build up maybe a 4-staff mobility item to try and save his cores, or just get himself out of there and give himself a little more viability. I think if they had gone for, if they want to run a jungler as a support, maybe go with an Enigma, somebody who can offer a lot more in a team fight, or a Chen, again, somebody who can offer more in a team fight and is less reliant on split pushing and more just group pushing early, I think would be better in that position. Or just go with like an Ogre Magi and say, fuck you. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I also feel like with Void and OD not contributing a lot early in the game, it's kind of a greedy lineup for them. Plus the Sand King, of course, needs to jungle to get his Blink Dagger, especially if he's going Earn first. So I think they had a window in their draft to try to punish the greed from the other team by either, as you said, getting in a more active second support or using the Nature's Prophet more actively to gank instead of farm. They could have put a lot of pressure on their opponents before they got their big team fight ults up. But as it was, the Radiant kind of got the space that they wanted, and we're able to bring it to a victory with some good ults and nice team fights.
Gotcha. And we'll be back with game 2.